Yogurt after you got done.
That was the last speech. Okay, for this speech, we're gonna have Jake, Andrea, Lauren. Okay, we don't need all that. Jimmy, Jimbo. And then I'm gonna have you record. You recording? Okay, so there I was, running for my life, running from this giant yellow and black monster that I thought was out to attack me. I was probably 8 to 10 years old, running through my front yard, just trying to get away from this bee. I felt like I was running a mile, but I bet it was probably 10 to 15 feet until I hit the handle of my radio flyer wagon. Fell straight on my face, bam. Rolled over to see the bee coming directly at me, as I thought, only to fly over my head, land on the flowers behind me, start doing his job. I didn't know it at the time. I thought I just dodged a bullet. I thought the bee was just a dumb bee. He didn't know where I went. So I stood up, took my flip-flop, smash! Smashed the bee and killed the bee. I thought I was a hero. Now, fast forward, 30 years, I understand a little bit more. I understand the perception isn't necessarily reality. So I think, I think I'm not alone. Show of hands here, who, when they were younger, maybe still to this day, had that same perception of bees. Huh? Yeah, they're pretty scary, so I can see why, right? Now, what I want to do today is I want to change that perception from this killer bee to the worker bee. The bee that's not only just doing his job, but who doing his job for the human race. Doing a lot of good things for us as humans. So, why is this a big deal? Why is this even an issue? Well, as you can see here, according to USA Today, since 1990, the bee population is down 87%. 87%. That's incredible. And for the first time in its existence, in 2017, bees landed on the endangered species list. But why does it matter? I talk about how important they are, how important their job is. Well, what is that job? So when you look at what a bee does, pollination is the process of basically taking part from one flower to another flower to create crops, right? So when it comes to bees and pollinating, they're responsible for a large yield of our crop population. There are some crops that are wind pollinated and so on and so forth, but the honeybee is the main source for that pollination process. So now when you think about it, you're like, well, I could do without Brussels sprouts, or I could do without vegetables, whatever the case is. Well, it just doesn't affect that. It affects our plant life, yes. It affects our animal life, our clothing, everything you can touch. So, for example, the main ingredient when a cow feeds on is grain, pollinated by bees. That's going to affect our animal life. Another pollinated product, corn. Corn is going to affect our fuel even. Corn-based fuels and things of that nature. So yes, if you look at down here, we have a list of the crops that we have, number of crops. They say up to 90% of our crops come directly from the work of the bees. So how can we stop this decline in the bee population? Two things I want to point out that you can do. One, support organic grocers. Organic grocers don't use pesticides, or they don't use produce from pesticides. What pesticides do, whenever they use pesticides, it kills off the bee population. So, no pesticides, organic groceries, bees are going to thrive. The other thing you can do is support organizations like the Honeybee Conservancy.org company. They literally take donations and create bee sanctuaries to help the population thrive once again. There's several other things that you can do as individuals. One thing that comes to mind is teach your children about bees. Teach them that, yeah, they do have stingers, but their stingers aren't out to attack you. They're not out to chase you around the yard and sting you. They're out there to work for you. They're out there to work to make sure that you get to enjoy not just the foods, but just the nature, the beauty that's all around you that's pollinated by bees. So take the time, spread the truth, change the perception, or control the perception that children have on bees before it even starts. So I want to give you guys a glimpse really quick into a visualization of what a world would be like without bees. So I got a list here. If you take a look, 32% of all our produce gone. Absolutely gone. No bees, 32% is gone. A list here, some things like kale, eggplant, blueberry, broccoli, things of that nature, things that provide a lot of nutritional value to us, gone. Animals, as I mentioned earlier, we'd have to change the way we feed our animals. We don't know if it'd be successful. We don't know what would happen. I do know one thing, GMOs, all this other stuff would swoop right in and really fill that gap on a need basis. Fuel, again, corn-based fuels, things of that nature, extremely affected by the lack of honeybees. Clothing, by way of cotton, and then I say the most understated one is just nature in general. I mean, you look around out here, you see several plants outside that are just beautiful that we take for granted because we can, right? So I want to leave you with, at the end of the day, the choice is yours. You can decide to take action, step up, help control the bee population. Little things, a bunch of little things are going to equal one big thing. We all have to work together if we want to live in a world full of beauty and bees. Pause.